Hey everyone, this is Codemic and welcome to Abandoned History. In this episode, we're going to be returning back to Disneyland and talking about the PeopleMover. The ride that we know as the PeopleMover today can trace its roots back to the 1964-1965 New York World's Fair. Now this is a really famous part of Disneyland history. It's where obviously the PeopleMover came out of, and also It's a Small World that's another ride that Disney made for UNICEF. So the PeopleMover is basically the son of the Ford Magic Skyway. Ford Magic Skyway basically allowed you to ride new Ford cars up on a track, and the cars basically drove themselves around this course. I'll see if I can insert a picture or a video right now. So Disney brought the technology back to Disneyland and decided to install it into Tomorrowland. PeopleMover was going to be the working title, but it eventually became attached to the project over time. And the attraction originally was supposed to be a serious prototype for intra-city transport, but obviously it never really took off because I don't take the PeopleMover to work every day. So the PeopleMover really was a unique ride system for the time. The ride never stopped moving. It's kind of similar to the Omnimover system that the Haunted Mansion uses and Adventure Through Inner Space used. The track or the ride itself was powered by spinning motors in the track itself. These rotating tires pushed the car along. They were embedded every 9 feet. So because the ride was powered by these rotating tires inside the track, Disney would have had to constantly been replacing these tires. So someone up in the corporate office, I take it, had the bright idea to try to get a tire company to sponsor, and lo and behold, Goodyear decided they would want to. So from the beginning of the ride until the mid-80s, Goodyear was the sponsor of the ride. And strangely enough, even though the sponsorship ended in 1981, the Goodyear corporate jingle was still in the ride's official soundtrack until at least 1990, according to some reports. So free advertising for Goodyear, apparently. So in August of 1995, the PeopleMover closed its doors after almost 30 years of service. Imagineers thought that the ride was no longer a vision for the future, but was just a place to sit down and relax. They wanted to give guests a thrilling new experience, and that's when they came up with the Rocket Rods concept. Now, the Rocket Rods was another ride that used the same platform as the PeopleMover, but totally new ride system, and it was a lot quicker too. I'll go into the Rocket Rods a little more in a future episode, so I really want to save most of the details of that, but just know that the Rocket Rods didn't last long, not nearly as long as the PeopleMover anyway. So even though the PeopleMover's been closed for 21 years, there's still a lot of signs of the old ride around the resort. First off, if you look up while you're in Tomorrowland, the tracks are still there. If you see what looks like a strange kind of canopy covering up, that's actually going to be the PeopleMover track you're seeing, and I'm sure you've been seeing a lot of those pictures throughout this video. And there's also some of the old PeopleMover cars that are being used as cash registers in some of the Tomorrowland stores, such as the Little Green store in Tomorrowland. There's also at the cast member e-ticket restaurant. There's a PeopleMover in there as a display. There's also some Skyway buckets in the Little Green men's store, but those were removed after a recent remodeling. An interesting thing is also the music from the PeopleMover can be heard in the Autopia queue. Although there was a recent remodel of the Autopia, so that may have been changed, but up until recently you could hear the PeopleMover music in the Autopia waiting line. So if the ride infrastructure is still there, could Disneyland bring this ride back? Well, yes and no. So according to a interview in September of 2010 at D23, the official Disney fan convention, the then president of the Disneyland Resort, George Kalogridis, said that, there may be plans to bring the ride back. It wouldn't be able to return in its original form. Stricter safety standards have set in that a ride like this can't be built again, so they'd really have to modify the concept of the original ride, so you'd really have to change up the ride to make it more wheelchair accessible, and I just don't know how they can do that. But if the ride structure is there, and Disneyland just wants a good way to eat up the crowds, especially with a new Star Wars lane coming and some other recent renovations, I could definitely see them bringing this back in the future. There's a lot of fan interest for it, and if you go on any Disneyland fan forums, there's always people talking about this. Always people talking about maybe a new Tron ride using the platform, or just countless ideas. So I'm sure eventually we'll see a return to the PeopleMover. Now, if you're just dying to ride the PeopleMover, don't worry. There's actually still a running version at the Magic Kingdom Park in Walt Disney World. There it's called the Tomorrowland Transit Authority PeopleMover. It's a similar ride system. It uses a little different technology, but you'll get the same experience, and if that shows that Disneyland can still operate the ride, again, maybe that's a good sign that they're still committed to a similar attraction. So all this information you've been hearing is relative to the Disneyland version, and that's the abandoned history we're talking about here. Just some other quick facts about the Disneyland version. The host was from 1977 to 82, Jack Wagner, and the final safety spiel voice was BJ Ward from 1982 to 1995, the closing of the ride, and the ride operated at a very thrilling 7 miles an hour. So this has been Codemic, and thank you for joining me on this episode of Abandoned History. Next time we're going to take a look at yet another piece of abandoned Disney history. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, and if you have any suggestions for future episodes, let me know. And don't forget to check out the other interesting episodes of Abandoned History on the Skyway and Discovery Island and River Country. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, favorite, subscribe, and I'll see you guys real soon.